Hey, my name is Mark Miller, and I'm a technology consultant here at Ingram Micro on the Data Center Delta Force team. And joining me today are Danny Marmol and Jon Busshart. We're all part of the Next Generation Storage Solutions team. Gentlemen, thanks for joining. Today we're talking about the future of storage technologies for hybrid IT. But first, let's get a snapshot on what Next Generation Storage Solutions means and what are the basics around storage.
Well, when I look at storage, you have to look at it in two fashions. You look at it as, what's your live data that's running right now, and then what is your protection strategy? Because those are two separate storage species that are that exist out there today. And when we look at, today, the state of the world, and certainly virtualization has grown this a lot. There's the shared storage technologies out there like iSCSI, Fiber Channel, NFS, and things like that. Then we've got a whole slew of backups technologies that are out there. Certainly, we used to rely on tape drives. Along the I say we probably still do a little bit, but we moved
Tape
to
isn't dead, right?
no, it isn't dead at all, right? But we moved to when we utilize it has kind of come down quite a bit. We've moved to DDD units, and then we've done site-to-site replication. Now we're really incorporating the cloud as kind of having that like super, top secret backup place to be able to put things in inside an environment, right?
Yeah, and I mean, everyone knows data centers need storage. That just continues to grow and grow and grow, and new applications come along, and the need for more storage, and really to get more out of your storage is really the goal as we look into the future. But how are storage technologies evolving? Like what do we qualify as next gen storage solutions?
I think that would happen to be a lot more of the software-defined storage and microservices, right? Because the transition is happening between the hardware guys and the new developers that are basically kind of commandeering the entire data center space.
Yeah, I would say that as well as, I mean, everybody remembers the day they got their laptop drive with the first SSD drive in it, going from spinning disk. Like you're never going back after that, right? And what we're starting to realize is the technology that we've relied on since the dawn of time, SCSI, SAS and SATA connections, that's kind of getting a little bit old, right? Where you have to move to something new, and we see this new advent of ways to connect things. So NVMe would be one of those. We're connecting storage up to the memory bus, persistent memory type of solutions. So the way things look today and the way things look tomorrow are going to be completely different.
You know, I think a lot of the resellers that we work with on a day-to-day basis, they're very familiar with traditional data center storage. But as we get into next generation storage solutions, right, we're changing that conversation from the traditional. There's block, there's file, now there's object. We're seeing more and more storage for containers. What are the key words should resellers listen to and know that they're going to start to have a storage conversation to lead down that road?
So certainly, there was this mad rush for people to push things out to the cloud, and rightfully so. But I think people are starting to realize that not all their applications necessarily belong in the cloud. We kind of have a hybrid approach that's kind of happening today, and making decisions what exists in the cloud and what exists on-prem. So what we have on-prem, needs to kind of have a more of I would say a cloud mentality wrapped around it. We don't want to think of the RAID 5s, the RAID 6s, the number of
Right.
disks that are in a RAID set anymore. We just want it to work and be able to run our applications, right? And the closer we can get to that mentality of I want to point and click and get what I need, right? That's why I see a lot of storage kind of going.
Yeah, the cloud really is a whole separate conversation when it comes to the data center, but more and more resellers that I talk to and clients have the need for cloud-like functionality, even if it's on-site, right? We talk a lot about hybrid IT and hybrid cloud, but they want things like self-provisioning storage and all the cloud features that are offered by various vendors right in the data center, whether they're using public cloud or not, right?
Absolutely.
So gentlemen, in our conversations with our resellers and our end users, the storage solution conversation used to be just, hey, what are your performance requirements? What kind of capacity do you need? What connectivity options? But when we talk about next generation storage solutions, the conversation tends to go much deeper than that, right?
Yeah, things have changed from, everybody can provide storage nowadays. So it's what else can you do for me, that the other vendors can't do. So we're looking at things like grabbing the rich analytics that come off these storage solutions that are out there and re-giving it back to the users so they can introduce more efficiencies within their environment. So we're going to see a lot of that. Also, people have had a taste of the cloud and the easy button. So, they're going to want that same easy button, within their internal process or on-prem cloud-based solutions.
And, in the conversations that I have with some end users, they want to do more with what's on the floor, right? They want to repurpose their old storage, bring in new storage, but be able to manage it all under a single pane of glass. And that analytics point was really good. Yeah, your storage is just a place to actually store your data, but they want to dig deep and use that data to gain a competitive advantage, whether it's with, they're scooping up analytics or they're doing DevOps, things like that. The solutions, the next generation storage solutions that these vendors provide nowadays really, really do help those needs.
Or even augmenting business continuity and disaster recovery strategies within the environment. Absolutely.
So what does the future hold for companies' technology needs? Looking into the future, how are applications driving this need for this hybrid cloud environment? Because more and more companies are having conversations around containers and what does persistent storage for containers look like? And I know there's vendor solutions out there, but how is this future looking kind of aspect looking at next generation storage solutions?
So I still think it's in its infancy, but the idea behind it is everybody's trying to go after this microservices and being able to break that apart and detach your actual physical storage to how it's being presented to your application. And right there is kind of where I feel that we will be seeing more of the industry going towards.
Yeah, the
And
more
John,
they move to microservices, the more they'll be able to move in and out of the cloud based on what the drives the application, right?
Correct.
yeah, I was going to say, John, we had discussions around cloud and what it means for storage, because when it comes to performance, right, that's a pretty decent conversation when you're talking about cloud, what you can push and store on the cloud, what needs to be kept in the data center for that hybrid IT environment, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of different reasons why people want things in the cloud and why things people want on the cloud. It could be security, performance, a whole bunch of things.
Speaking of security and performance, what are the common concerns that we come across when we're talking to clients and end users about storage solutions and next generation storage solutions?
Oh, they limited IT staff. I don't want to adopt anything new inside my environment and have to reinvent the wheel as far as learning what I'm using. I see a lot of people's concerns around that. Ransomware as well. People are really concerned about ransomware and the effect it's going to have on their data and their environment, right?
Yeah,
One of
and
the
moving
things,
your data into the cloud in general just opens up the door of, leaks and being able to secure it even more, right? And lock your information down.
Yeah, even
what,
especially when we talk about government organizations too, whether or not they want to leverage that type of mentality in their environment.
one of the things that I face is growing storage needs and shrinking budgets.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's just endless. And I know you can go pretty much anywhere in the IT data center and have that conversation, but the storage just keeps increasing and budgets don't seem to grow
And it's not like
at the same clip level.
it's not like storage grows like at a steady pace. It's like going exponential as well, which that affects their the amount of funds that they have to be able to.
Guys, is there a shift to having more of a services approach to storage applications? Pretty much everything in the data center and everything at home is going to as a service. So how is that kind of taking shape for next generation storage solutions?
Absolutely. I'm seeing happening nowadays is organizations or vendors are putting hardware on site that people can pay on an ongoing basis, kind of like a cost model that you see around the cloud. You only pay for what you actually use, and you can own the equipment or you don't have to own the equipment on site. So I see a lot of that kind of happening. The other shift I see from a services model is I want somebody to come out and deploy it as well as maintain it for me, upgrade the firmware and things like that. Right? Again, I've got limited IT staff, right, and they've got limited time. How do you do the best with that time that they have? Right? Again, make a more cloud-like model.
I think it's important to point out that our reseller partners can really enhance their line card with next generation storage solutions because a lot of the vendors that are out there, they offer assessments and health checks, and they go deeper than that. It's, performance and data placement optimization or consumption and utilization forecasting. And I would say the majority of these vendors offer this at little to no cost. So our resellers can use it as a foot in the door to open up that conversations with their end users before their end users come to them and say, hey, I'm running out of capacity. I need more disk. They can really start to create next generation storage solutions by having those conversations.
That is a great point. In addition to all that, I think the financing aspect of storage is changing, right? So they're now with going from that CapEx model to an OpEx model and kind of driving back that cost from getting in the door into it, right? And being able to purchase it and having to worry about a 3-year degradation plan, right? On your hardware and your equipment, kind of really solidifying that and getting them into the door, just from a finance perspective, that I think that's a very big component of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
talk
a
about
little bit.
becoming a trusted advisor for the end user. If you use one of these assessments and walk in with hard fact information about their environment, you're a shoo-in for the opportunity.
Yeah, a while back we talked about, how budgets are shrinking, but capacity needs. And we talk about creative financial solutions and even ones that come from Ingram Micro or the vendors to really drive the adaptability of these solutions, right? You don't have to have a bucket full of money to introduce these solutions that'll really benefit your business. So to wrap up this entire conversation, gentlemen, where do you see the future of storage technology going?
So storage technology is going to be moving into the application-centric type of mentality where everything is about the application. So it's going to have to be able to move from the cloud back to on-prem and there and back as quickly and easily as that is, right? So it's no longer going to just be an entity by itself of, you have a storage array, but more of a storage microservice that's following around your applications.
Yeah, applications. I know a lot of our customers haven't adopted containerization yet, but it's something that's coming down the pipe, and it's where they're going to be creating these new applications and creating storage that's going to be able to drive these applications are going to make a lot of sense. Because again, like Danny said, you're going to want to be able to move this in and out of the cloud, as the business sees fit, right? Or burst into the cloud as business sees fit. I think is another good word.
And to be the youngest one probably on this call, I'd be remiss not to mention tape, right? Because tape's not dead. More and more we talk about compliancy, and we're having conversations about the need to store data, and cloud providers are out there with just mountains of tape and for cold storage. So
in the end,
I'd throw it in there.
In the end, the companies that survive the big ransomware attack are going to be the ones that actually have a good tape strategy somewhere. It always ends up being the lowest cost way to store your data for the longest period of time. They talk about an air gap, right?
It definitely is an air gap.
Yeah, you talk about air gap and not to be completely joking when we talk about the future of tape, but really we're talking about increasing larger and larger capacity magnetic media. We're talking about, potentially half a petabyte in a single cartridge being able to be stored for 20, 30 years, low power, all that stuff. So I'm interested to keep my ear to the ground when it comes to that market as well.
It's not only that on the back end as far as, when we think about tape, we think of a little bit, although tape's gotten faster, but we think tape is slow and your recovery time. But if we look at the front end of storage, the way that's going to change, right? Like we had mentioned before, the SAS bus, the SATA bus, that's gone. Moving to a new style of bus, again, we mentioned NVMe and persistent memory type of solutions. When those get adopted, more consistently, I see that as the future. The front end of what's happening for our data is going to get exponentially fast, right? And we're going to have better ways to be able to protect it on the back end. More options.
So thank you for joining us in our conversation about next generation storage solutions. Please, if you have any questions or want to learn more about the different vendors or solutions that are out there, feel free to contact us. Email at data-center@ingrammicro.com. Thanks for watching.